What is going on, Multiversers? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got just a random assortment of news to go over, and there's some big stuff in here. So Multiversus does kind of give us a recap of some of the stuff that is planned for upcoming patches. We also have the reason as to why we haven't had an update applied to the game quite yet, but it is coming. And we have a little bit more information on a future data mined character. So that's all I will say about that. So if you are trying to avoid spoilers, I will give you ample warning before we dive into that topic. But before we get there, we need to start back at the beginning with what Multiversus told us. And that would be the brief recap. We already went over this actually a couple days ago on the channel, but in case anybody hasn't heard or seen this news yet, here it is very quickly. This is just a sample of what's currently planned for the upcoming patches for Multiversus. Things like performance improvements and issues are going to be fixed, which is great. Inclusion of endgame stats, fantastic. Option to turn off team colors, so you're no longer going to have like the tinted, if your opponents are outlined in red, well, they're not going to be covered in red, you know, hot sauce for the rest of the game. So that stuff is coming. We did make a video, I said the other day, that we go into more details about that. So I'll leave the link to that in the description and probably the end card of this video if you want to check that out if you haven't seen it. But yeah, there's a lot more improvements than this, but they do tell us that. As well as something else that I didn't even know that happened, but apparently there was an option to purchase extra lives in the game. Apparently it was a bug. It's already been addressed. I'm just curious, did anybody like actually come across this? I don't even know what it would be for. My best guess would be, could you buy lives in Rift mode? I guess that makes sense, but who would buy lives? Were they actually making people pay Gleamium for extra lives? Like, I would never do that. So I'm glad that that's a bug, so get that out of the game. But then in regards to Iron Giant, he's still in the works. You know, he's still got some bugs that need to be ironed out. Bad joke. Okay, but yeah, he's still in the works. So they do say that he will be returning to the battle shortly. Some speculation is there's going to be a big update next week. Maybe Tuesday, maybe, not a confirmation, but so keep our eyes out for next week. So if Iron Giant comes back into the game and they had to change up his moveset and all sorts of other things, well, it should be coming with a big update with patch notes, character balances and changes and all that stuff. So hopefully Iron Giant returns next week with a lot of other improvements. Now I want to switch over to Reslived, who happens to be a technical systems designer at Player First Games, and he tweeted out a couple things the other day, and I thought this was kind of interesting. He does tell us that you know, he was talking to somebody on Twitter, I should say, but he was talking to him about the Xbox performances, and that is something that the devs have been working on since day one. Resliv himself only pitched in just a tiny bit there, but the point being that they have been making strides in fixing the overall performance of the Xbox version of the game, which is good. I played it on Xbox a couple times myself, and yeah, it can be pretty unplayable at times, but that is happening. But again, he said that they started working on that day one, right? Well, here's another thing that they fixed internally on day one. I'll play the clip in the background in case anybody hasn't seen this Bugs Bunny safe. I don't want to call it controversy, but if you haven't seen this before, basically if you have two Bugs Bunny players on the same team and they both use their safes in like the same vicinity and then they get knocked into an opponent, well, the screen starts shaking, the opponent starts taking like an astronomical amount of damage, and the next time that you like even like wink or blow a kiss at the opponent, they're gonna get flying, they're gonna be sent flying and they're gonna get KO'd, and it's just not a fun interaction, right? Well, again, Resliv said that this was fixed internally on day one. So if this was fixed already, the question then becomes, why haven't we gotten patch notes? Why haven't we gotten a big update yet? Since Multiversus is on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, console versions of the game actually take longer for updates to come out. They're essentially, consoles have a certification process that they need to go through. So for example, Sony and Microsoft, or PlayStation and Xbox, they want these updates to go through this process to make sure nothing happens to their consoles. So if something happens to the console, they could be like, hell no, back to the drawing board, you have to find a different way or fix this problem that you just caused, because we can't have that rolling out to all the players. So the reason we haven't gotten that yet is there's certification processes. So since there are these processes that these updates have to go through, well, then the developers are going to try to jam more into this update than they can, right? Plus updates on consoles, I don't know if it is the same way on PC, but at least updates on consoles cost quite a lot of money. I don't have actual numbers in front of me, but they do cost quite a bit. So it makes more sense to cram as much as you can into one update to try to fix as much as you can in one update. So that's why we haven't gotten anything yet. The process hasn't been fully completed, but there are things that are completed from the update that we're getting. Did that make sense, or did I confuse people? Hopefully not, but it's coming. Again, speculation is probably next week, maybe around Tuesday. Again, not a confirmation, so we'll have to keep our eyes out for that, but the update is coming. It's just, they're waiting for patches to clear at this point. So in random news, if anybody's ever been interested in purchasing Gleamium, I noticed this on the PlayStation page. You no longer, if you want to buy $100 worth of Gleamium, there's an option in the PlayStation Store. Yeah, so if you want $100 of Gleamium, you no longer have to buy two $50 packs. I thought it was interesting. It would have been nice day one. Would have been nice. I didn't have to buy two $50 packs, but it's now an option in the PlayStation Store if you play on PlayStation. I assume this is the same on Xbox. I haven't checked yet, but if you play on Xbox and you're curious about it, check it out. Let me know in the comments. Now we arrive at the data mined character, so that is all I will say about that, so I can give you guys, the ones that don't want to be spoiled about this information. You got your time, a few seconds here to click off the video. Thank you for coming. See you guys on the next one. But we are entering the spoiler room brawl here in a little bit in 3, 2, 1. So our friendly neighborhood data miner Lysol tells us a little bit more information. So Character 31, or C031, is a character in the files of Multiversus, and apparently has the rhythm buff like Garnet does, so it makes their attacks have more knockback and damage, and can also be stacked. Currently there is a placeholder character mastery track for whoever this mystery character is. That's the thing, we don't know who this character is, but we do have a couple guesses coming up here in a second. But there are some strings in the game files that we can see assets that exist for character C031B. Now, what does the B stand for? Well, it pretty much can mean a lot of different things. Lysol tells us it could end up acting as a 2-in-1 fighter, or they could have some sort of alternate form. Maybe the character might transform in some way, power up in some way. They could also have some sort of echo fighter of them that gets added later. So it's a little impossible to know based on the little information we have now, but it does sound quite interesting. So if there's a C031 and then a C031B, let's take a couple guesses, shall we? Couple guesses. I've seen a lot of people throwing out Marceline. Marceline plays her guitar axe, right? Once she plays that, you play the song for a couple seconds and you get buffed up. We already have a few characters like that that take a few seconds. Shaggy's got his little power up. Banana Guard lifts them weights. Garnet's got her, rhythm thing. I don't even know the name of the attack, but what if Marceline has something very similar? What if she matches the rhythm-based idea? So if that works, well then what about the other ones? Could she be a 2-in-1 character? Well, maybe not. But what if she transforms in some way? For anybody that might not know or hasn't watched Adventure Time, Marceline does have a bat form that she does take because she is a vampire. So could the transformation be her becoming this bat character, and that could be C031B? Maybe. I mean, that could fit, so it's just an option. Another one that I thought of, maybe Pinky in the Brain? Now let me float this by you. We have seen Pinky in the Brain in the Multiversus art, right? We see the balloon of them in the, right above like Rain Dog. We've seen that for a little while now, so is that a hint, or has that been a hint at Pinky in the Brain? Because they would fit as a, oh wow, voice crack. But they could fit as a 2-in-1 character, or they could fit as possibly like an alternative form or transformation. And I say transformation, wasn't there like a Pinky in the Brain episode where he's controlling like a humanoid robot or something, and it kind of does a little bit of karate or something like that? I'll throw up a picture on screen if I haven't already, but maybe that's what he does, and he has like a meter that kind of builds up over time, and then he can jump into this robot. So he becomes, so you got Pinky in the Brain kind of roaming around on stage. themselves, and then the meter builds up and he can jump into this humanoid robot and become kind of a bigger character. I don't know, just an ideas thrown out there, but just had some information to pass along to you guys. Hope you all enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you when I'm looking at you.